Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Nahmaduhu wa nasta'inuhu wa nastaghfiruhu wa natawakkalu alayhi wa nusalli wa nusallim ala habibihi wa najibihi wa khayratihi fi khalqihi hafizi sirrihi wa muballighi risalatihi amini wahyihi wa khatimi rasulihi वबशीर रहमत व नज़ीर नकमत सैयदना व नबीना बिलकासिम मुस्तफ़ा मुहम्मद वलालिहिल अत्यबीन अल अत्हरीन अल मुंतजबीन अल हुदातिल महदीन अल मासूमीन सीमा बकियतल्लाहि फिल आलमीन वस्सलामु अला इम्मतिल मुस्लिमीन व हुदातिल मुस्तदफीन व हुमातिल मुमिनीन सलवात। We praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for His countless blessings upon us. And I want to thank Him for allowing us this opportunity here today to commemorate the wafat of Bibi Fatema Zahra alayhi salam. So when our Holy Prophet Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wa sallam salawat was nearing the end of his life, he salawat. Now it's on. So when he was nearing the end of his life, he recited a hadith, or he left a hadith called Hadith Thakalain, in which he said he is leaving two weighty things behind him: the Quran and the Ahlul Bayt. And he said, if you hold on to them tightly, you will never go astray. So today, inshallah, the goal will be, as far as I'm concerned, to give you the connection between the Quran and the Ahlul Bayt, and what lessons we can learn from the life of Bibi Fatema Zahra alayhi salam, especially with regards to her marriage, with regards to Imam Ali alayhi salam. So what lessons can we learn from that? And usually we think they are masoom, right? Their noor's been created, right, before the creation of this universe, so they won't have any difficulties in life. It wasn't like as if there were two angels standing outside the door of Bibi Fatema Zahra and Imam Ali alayhi salam and solving all their problems, right? They had to go through a lot of difficulties in life. So what lessons can we learn from that, and how is it applicable to us in our life today? And what lessons can we learn from it? But before I do that, I want to emphasize a little bit about the Holy Quran. So Imam Ali alayhi salam says that nobody, when they sits with the Quran, experiences an increase and a decrease at the same time. So now the question is, what is the increase and what is the decrease? So he says that the increase is an increase in knowledge, and the decrease is a decrease of darkness inside of you. Now you have to ask the question to yourselves, when you are sitting with the Holy Quran, are you experiencing an increase in knowledge, or are you experiencing a decrease in your darkness at the same time? If you are not accomplishing those two things, then what are you exactly doing with the Quran? Now in Surah Jummah, for example, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is very harsh on the Israelites, right? Where He says that they are carrying the Torah on their backs as if donkeys are carrying rocks or dead weight on their back. Now Quran is very colorful with its language, where Allah says they are like donkeys. So if it's a donkey who's carrying his weight with weight on his back, if he's carrying gold or if he's carrying rock, does it make any difference to the donkey? The answer is not really. And that's what Allah is describing, that they're carrying the Torah on their backs like that. So you have to ask the question to yourself, like when you have the copies of the Quran, alhamdulillah, everybody has copies of the Quran in their home, right? Is it just become a decoration piece in your home? Or are you actually sitting with the Quran and trying to connect with the last message of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? And what can you learn from it to implement in your life? And inshallah, I will try to connect that a little bit here. Now let's talk about Bibi Fatema Zahra alayhi salam. Last time I talked about Bibi Fatema Zahra alayhi salam, that her nur was created even before the creation of Adam. Right? Her name was written on the door of heaven, right? And her house was shown to Adam alayhi salam. Not only that, her conception was heavenly. She was a masuma, right? You have mention of the different things in the Quran, whether it's the story of the Nazar, or whether it's Surah Kautar, or whether it's the instance of Mubahila, or whether it's Ayat-e-Tathir. So you're seeing all these mentions of Lady Fatima Zahra alayhi salam in the Quran. And she is the golden link between Nabuwa and Imam. So when you have a lady like that, where she is also going to be respected on the day of judgment, when she comes with 70,000 angels, everybody is going to be asked to put their heads down in respect to Bibi Fatima Zahra alayhi salam. So those were some of the things I talked about in the last majlis. So when Bibi Fatima Zahra alayhi salam became at the age of marriage, what type of husband would Allah provide for her? So that's the question we have to ask ourselves. And then what was the criteria used, right, by Rasulullah and Bibi Fatima Zahra when it came to choosing an appropriate husband for her? Now, when she became the age of marriage, there was a lot of proposals that came for Bibi Fatima Zahra. There was a lot of respected people that actually tried to propose for her. And each time a proposal would come, Rasulullah would go take that proposal to Bibi Fatima Zahra alayhi salam, and he would say, so and so has asked for your hand in marriage. And then every time whosoever's name came up, she would have a expression of displeasure on her face. And Rasulullah would go back to that person and say, no, she's not accepting, or your proposal is not accepted. Now what happened is that Imam Ali alayhi salam was also eligible to get married at that time, right? But he was very shy. Now it's okay to be shy when you want to propose to somebody, right? And not only that, he was shy, and he was also feeling a little bit under, because he was financially not capable of, doing certain things at that time, because a lot of the people who were proposing were actually big dignitaries. They were respected Sahaba, right? There were people who were very well-to-do who were proposing. She was the daughter of the nation of the leader of Islam. So Imam Ali was not financially that capable, although people were telling him, like, you should propose, right? But, he was really shy about proposing to her. So one day he came to Rasulullah, right? And Rasulullah noticed the discomfort on his face. So Rasulullah asked him, what is wrong with you, right? What is going on? So he says, I would love to propose for the hand of Bibi Fatima. So he said, what is stopping you? So he says, Ya Rasulullah, I feel that I'm not financially capable right now. So Rasulullah said, why is that even a problem? Now, you have to take this instance as a lesson in life, right? When you're looking at this, right? There's a lot of father-in-laws or mother-in-laws today, when they are actually trying to look for a husband for their daughter, right? They are going through the full list of questionnaire, right? We are looking for what? That this person has a house, has a good job, good education, bank balance, right? And the whole 9 yards. And we are interrogating that person. Yet here you have Rasulullah, who's looking at something else as the criteria. And he's in fact making it easy for Imam Ali alayhi salam to propose. So when Rasulullah said, no problem, right? Imam Ali said, yes, I would like to propose. So at that time he went to Bibi Fatima Zahra alayhi salam, and he said that Ali would like to ask for your hand in marriage. And whenever another proposal came, she would have the expression of displeasure on her face. When Imam Ali's name came up, she actually remained quiet. So Rasulullah interpreted that as the answer to say yes. So he went and told Imam Ali that yes, she is ready to get married to you. Now, at that time, Rasulullah declared that this marriage has been divinely ordained, because before it was not, all those people were regular people. Now, Bibi Fatema is a Masuma and a heavenly lady, so the marriage also has to be arranged by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And not only that, he said there is no one better than Ali for Fatima in this world or in the hereafter. So now you have to ask the question, what was the criteria, or what did Bibi Fatima see in Imam Ali alayhi salam as to what was the morals or traits or care? Of course, he didn't have any money, right, at that time. So what did she see that she said yes to? So before we do that, I want to take you to the Quran. Now, these are criteria that I call, in a way that you can look at other people, but more so is how do you make yourself that person that you can become eligible for marriage in your community, or if you're already in a marriage, how do you behave with your spouse, and what are the characteristics you need to have when it comes to your spouse, your family, your friends, and how do you apply those criteria from the Quran? And I will give you the reference from the Quran at the end. The first criteria is the fact that whenever this person speaks, they always speak the truth. Now, how many times we ask a person a question, right? Sometimes they don't exactly tell you the truth, or it's 90-95% truth, not the full truth all the time. So first and foremost criteria is that this person always speaks the truth. That means he's an honest person. What is the second criteria? The second criteria is that this person always fulfills the promise that they make. So if I give you my word, then I am going to follow through with my word. It's not like, we say sometimes, we say inshallah in a manner which actually comes across as it may be meaning a no. Does it happen? Yeah. So always make sure you keep your word, fulfill your promise. The third criteria is this person always maintains their relationships, whether it comes to family or within their community. How many times we get mad with a family member and we just, block them or stop calling them, or don't pick up the phone and call again? Does it happen with family? It happens in the community. It happens in work. We do that all the time. We just cut off the relationship. There's a beautiful hadith which says that, if you do silatul rahim, meaning, maintain the ties with your family, your lifespan actually extends. If you cut off the relationship with your family, your lifespan actually decreases. So maintaining ties with family and kinship, that's the third one. The fourth one is this person always holds themselves accountable. They always have the fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in front of them. So whenever they are doing an action, whether you're alone or whether you're in public, most of the test actually comes when you're alone. Because how easy it is to do something on the phone? How easy is it to do something when nobody's watching you? But the true person or the honest person is the one who's always making sure that he knows Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching him. So he has the fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in his heart and does the right things all the time. So they take accountability for their actions no matter where they are. The fifth criteria is that this person is always patient. Now in life we get a lot of difficulties, right? Whether it comes to family, whether it comes to money, whether it comes to health, whether it comes to parents, whether it comes to job. You have to have patience and faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He will take care of you no matter what your trouble is. Because Allah says, Inna Allaha ma'as sabirin. Certainly Allah is with the ones who are patient. The next criteria is the criteria of this person is that this person always prays properly, establishes the prayer. You know, salat or prayer is the foundation of our religion. Everything else, all your actions are built upon it. If the foundation is not there, what happens to the building? Building falls apart. You know, how many times do we actually, in Fajr time, for example, we get up on time or pray, or we set the alarm exactly at the time when Fajr is going to expire 5 minutes before, and we sometimes just try to make it on time. Do we do that? Maybe, maybe not. So establishing prayer. The next criteria, number 7, is this person always gives charity, whether it's in secret or in public. Why in secret and why in public? If you're giving charity in public, you are actually encouraging other people to be also generous and compassionate towards a cause. Because when you give in public, it sets an example for other people. And when you give in private, you are giving because you do not want to embarrass that person who's receiving the charity in front of other people. So there is times to give charity in private and there's times to give charity in public. Number 8 criteria is this person always repels evil with goodness. Somebody did something wrong to me, I'm going to do twice as bad to this person. I'm going to go take my revenge. Does that happen? Do we feel angry that we want to hurt this other person just because somebody insulted you, or somebody said something to you, or somebody did something to you? But this person, according to the Quran says that this mu'min, this believer, this honest person always repels evil with kindness, goodness. Now, as I'm telling you these criteria, can you relate these criteria to Imam Ali alayhi salam? All these criteria, as I'm talking about, are they being related to Imam? You can go through the history of Imam Ali alayhi salam and Bibi Fatema and you'll see examples upon examples of where they have gone through each and every one of those things. Now, are these applicable to us also? The answer is yes, right? The 9th criteria, always know that the provision, your risk is all in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and it's already preordained. Now it is your choice to actually go get that risk in halal form or you go get it in haram form. There's always a shortcut in life. The thing is, risk is always going to be there because Allah has already written it for you that you have the risk. It's your choice whether you want to get the risk in a halal form or whether you want to get the risk in haram form. And the 10th criteria is that this person always keeps Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as front and center in every action that they do. Because your ultimate goal is not this dunya. Your ultimate goal is akhir. So these were the 10 criteria. Now where are these criteria mentioned in? It's actually mentioned in Surah Ra'd. Surah number 13, ayah number 19 through 28. If somebody wants to go read them when they go back home to refer, as I was talking to you about the Quran, to experience an increase and a decrease at the same time, go open the Quran, Surah Ra'd, ayah number 19 through ayah number 28. Salawat. Now, when it comes to finding a appropriate spouse for your child or yourself, right? Or what are you looking for in other people? I talked about what are the characteristics of an honest person. I do want to leave you with one hadith on what would be the characteristics of a dishonest person. Because it's important to know what actions you see. Now, by the way, do not start going and looking at your neighbor and say, yeah, I see this in him. This is for you, for your own self, right? How do you look at your own self? Don't start judging everybody that, has then said on the member that we need to use this criteria because Rasulullah said this hadith. So don't apply that criteria to others. You need to apply that criteria to yourself. First and foremost is that whenever this person or this dishonest person speaks, they lie. So anytime they tell you something, it's a lie, straightforward. When you give them a trust and amana, what do? They betray the trust. Now, why do they betray the trust? Because they don't have integrity. And when they make a promise to you, they break the promise. They lie, they break their promises, and betray the trust. However, these are just symptoms of a dishonest person. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam salawat. He says that a person is guaranteed to have the sickness of hypocrisy or dishonesty in them if they exhibit the fourth criteria along with the third one, which is when you actually confront this person about their lying, breaking their promise, or betraying your trust, they respond with anger. So you call them out, they actually get angry at you. Why? Because they are trying to compensate for the lie. And why? Because they don't have integrity in them. So when you are looking for a spouse, or you are already in a marriage, you need to go back and look at what symptoms are you exhibiting, whether it's with your family, whether it's with your spouse, whether it's with your children. Are you exhibiting the 10 signs of a mu'min and an honest person? Or are you exhibiting the signs of a dishonest person who would be a munafiq or a hypocrite? And again, these are all curable items, meaning everything that I'm talking about is something that you can actually fix. It's not something uncurable that I cannot do. Everybody can do this. So now let's go back to Imam Ali alayhi salam as to what did Bibi Fatema Zahra and Rasulullah see. The first and foremost was the fact that when the night of Hijrah, Rasulullah asked Imam Ali to lay down in the bed in his place. Now there were 15 people outside waiting with swords and spears, ready to strike at the strike of dawn. Did Imam Ali know that these people are outside waiting, ready to strike? Yes, he knew that, right? Now he asked Rasulullah, right, will Islam be safe and will you be safe if I sleep on the bed? Rasulullah said yes, so he laid down on the bed fearlessly. Now, when Rasulullah was leaving, he gave him two responsibilities. He gave Imam Ali two responsibilities. The first responsibility was that there were people who had given deposits or amana to Rasulullah. So he asked Imam Ali to return that amana to whosoever had given it to him. Now it's amazing, right? These people, on one hand, they were ready to kill him. On the other hand, they were giving him amana and deposits because he was honest and truthful. Interesting dichotomy, right? But Imam Ali went ahead and returned those things to whosoever was there. Then the second responsibility was there was three Fatimas. They were there in Makkah. The first Fatima was, of course, Bibi Fatema Zahra alayhi salam. The second Fatima was the mother of Imam Ali alayhi salam, Fatima bint Asad. And there was a third Fatima who was related to Hazrat Hamza alayhi salam. So Imam Ali's responsibility was to take these Fatimas from Makkah to Medina. Now on the way, Abu Sufyan, Abu Lahab, Abu Jahl, right? They sent people after Imam Ali and the three Fatimas to actually do what? Kill Imam Ali and capture the Fatimas and bring them back. Why? Because they could use Bibi Fatima as a ransom or a blackmail to bring Rasulullah back to Makkah. So guess, can anybody defeat Imam Ali alayhi salam? Of course not, right? And Imam Ali was in his early 20s at that time. Everybody who came to capture the Fatimas, Imam Ali defeated and killed, and he safely escorted the Fatimas to Medina. Now, was Bibi Fatima noticing all this? Yes, she was, right? Imam Ali was loyal to Rasulullah, loyal to the cause of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Was he honest? Yes, right? He returned the amana. Was he brave and capable of taking care of the women with the responsibility that was given to him, even though it would have cost him his life? The answer is yes. So when you look at this criteria, how could she say yes to somebody else? Now, when they agreed for the marriage, right, Rasulullah asked Imam Ali, right, what do you have to give for mahr? So Imam Ali alayhi salam said, I have 3 things. I have my sword, I have my shield, and I have my horse. So Rasulullah said, as far as the sword goes, you need it to protect Islam. As far as the horse goes, you need it to earn an income, because you could use the horse to earn an income in that time. As far as your shield, you don't really need it, so go ahead and sell it. Now, a lot of times we're noticing marriages, right? According to a lot of our hadiths, they say, you should do the mahr of Bibi Fatema Zahra alayhi salam. Now you got to go look at the criteria, right? What was Imam Ali offering? He was offering everything he had. Now, Imam Ali sold that shield for 500 silver coins, which roughly equates to about $1,200 to $1,500 in today's money. Now, the whole idea of mahr is to actually provide financial security to the woman. Because according to Islam, the woman doesn't have any rights if a divorce happens later on in life. So this mahr is supposed to provide financial security. So Imam Ali was offering everything he had to marry Bibi Fatima Zahra alayhi salam. So when you are looking for marriage, right, and when it comes to mahr, make sure you provide something that is actually appropriate financially to take care of the incoming spouse, versus just doing the mahr of Bibi Fatima Zahra, although it's sunnah to do it, but it's only worth $1,000, $1,500. So it defeats the purpose of providing financial security. Now, a lot of these marriages are made in heaven, right? Especially the marriage of Bibi Fatima Zahra alayhi salam and Imam Ali alayhi salam, right? There was 2 or 3 things that I want to highlight. Number one was the fact that did Rasulullah, every time there was a proposal, he went to Bibi Fatima Zahra? He did, right? So a lot of times what happens is that, in certain cultures, we think that, the girl doesn't have any right to say yes or no to a marriage proposal. But Rasulullah showed that he went every time to bring a proposal and ask her yes or no. The second was the dowry itself. But the third and most important is actually finding an appropriate spouse who had the characteristics of being honest and loyal, and the fact that they shared a common faith. Now, what is more important, sharing a common faith or looking at somebody's bank balance? So it's important to know that the basis or the foundation of the marriage of Imam Ali and Bibi Fatima Zahra alayhi salam was devotion to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and a shared common faith. Salawat wal Muhammad wal Muhammad. Now, did Imam Ali and Bibi Fatima's marriage, was it perfect? Like, did they go through difficulty in their life or not? Like, were the angels standing outside taking care of everything? No, they actually had to go through a lot of toil and turmoil. It wasn't like Imam Ali alayhi salam was rich. So when they got married, Imam Ali used to work as a water carrier. And Bibi Fatima used to grind corn on a hand mill, to the point that she used to get calluses in her hand. So one day there were these slaves that had been captured that were there in Medina. So Imam Ali alayhi salam asked Bibi Fatema, why don't you go ask your father that, these are these slaves there, maybe you can get one so they can get some help for you in the home. She went the first day, she couldn't say anything. She went on the second day, she couldn't say anything. She went on the third day, she looked at Rasulullah, she didn't say anything, she came back home. So Imam Ali asked Bibi Fatima, did you ask your father? She goes, no, I didn't. Because why? Because I saw the amount of responsibility and trouble that my father is going through. I don't want to overburden him with something more difficult. So Imam Ali went to Rasulullah and he says, we are having some difficulties, right, financially. So Rasulullah said that as far as the slaves go, right, there are people who are called the Ashab Sufa, the people who were the poor people who used to sit outside on a ledge, right outside Masjid al-Nabawi. He says, they are more deserving as far as the slaves go. But I will come to your home and I'll give you something better. So he went to the house of Bibi Fatima Zahra alayhi salam and Imam Ali alayhi salam, and he called them and he says, let me give you something which is way more better than a slave or a servant helping you in the house. She says, Ya Rasulullah, what is it? She says, I'm going to give you a tasbih. And this tasbih is so much more better for you than the financial thing you're asking. So what is it? The tasbih of Bibi Fatima Zahra alayhi salam. 34 times Allahu Akbar, 33 times Subhanallah, 33 times Alhamdulillah. Now, he said, recite this after the prayer. There is a hadith from Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam, salawat. Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam says that whosoever recites this tasbih on after prayer, before their feet move, all their sins are forgiven. And not only that, the fire of hell is actually prohibited for them. So if you want to save yourself, right, you should always recite the tasbih of Bibi. How long does it take? It takes an extra minute to do. Now, this is difficulties that I'm talking about. It wasn't financial difficulties. They also had to grow spiritually together. A lot of times what happens when we are married for a long time, one spouse advances to another level and another spouse gets left behind. So it is the responsibility of one spouse to make sure that they bring the level up of the other spouse also. But in the case of Bibi Fatima Zahra and Imam Ali alayhi salam, what do you notice? You notice they are always together whenever anything is going on. When it comes to Mubahila, both of them were there. When it comes to the story of Nazar, both of them are together. When it comes to Hadith Kisa and Ayat Tathir, are they together? Yes, they are always together. So it just shows you the connection they have between them. And then there was battles that used to happen that Imam Ali used to go to. There was the battle of Uhud where there was not one single part of Imam Ali's body that wasn't injured. And she tended to his injuries. So that was the special relationship between Bibi Fatima Zahra and Imam Ali alayhi salam. Salawat wal Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Now, Rasulullah gave an amana to Imam Ali alayhi salam. The amana was what? Fatima Zahra alayhi salam. Imam Ali says, he was near the grave of Rasulullah after Bibi Fatima Zahra alayhi salam had passed away, and he says, Ya Rasulullah, I have returned the amana. And he doesn't say, I have returned Fatima. He says, I have returned the amana. Now, when you marry someone's daughter, you should know that she is an amana because it is the responsibility of a mu'min to look after the amana. So when you look at your wives, and if you don't think that she is an amana, that you have not understood the significance of the lady who we are honoring tonight. The Imam said, O Prophet of Allah, You have given me an amana and I have returned the trust, and the pledge has been taken back. Many years later, right, people used to see Imam Ali shed tears. So people used to ask Bibi Fatima, Imam Ali alayhi salam, why do you shed tears for her? She's gone for so long. And he says, how can you recover from losing Fatima? After she died, he's talking to Rasulullah near his grave. He says, my grief is forever and my nights are sleepless. I can't sleep. Oh, how can I sleep when I saw her between the wall and the door? He saw her between the wall and the door with the burning door. Nobody was affected by this incident like Imam Ali alayhi salam. Rasulullah gave a wasiyah to Imam Ali alayhi salam when he was going. Why did Imam Ali tolerate that? Imam Ali was told by Rasulullah, he says, Oh Ali, you have to remain patient. And this is my wasiyah. I want you to remain patient with what you're about to see. The Imam says, my grief is forever and my night is sleepless until Allah chooses for me the place where you are residing. Then he says he's the first one to recite the musibah of Bibi Fatima Zahra alayhi salam. He's the first one to recite the masayib of Bibi Fatima. He says, Ya Rasulullah, ask her what happened to her and let her tell you about the circumstances surrounding her death. Nothing broke his heart more than the day in Medina when he wasn't home. And it was the day when Fidda found out how Bibi Fatima passed away. Bibi Fatima told Fidda, she says, I'm going to go and perform the ritual ablution. And then I'm going to pray and read the Quran. Oh Fidda, come ask for me. If I reply, I am still alive. But if I don't, it means I have passed away. Oh Fidda, when Hassan and Hussein come home, please make sure you have food prepared for them. So then she went. After a few moments, Fidda went there and she says, Oh daughter of Rasulullah, there was no reply. And she said again, O daughter of the man who ascended to the heavens, there was no reply. She knew at that moment that the time had come. She entered the room and she saw Fatima laying there on the bed. She says, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Certainly we belong to Allah and to Him we shall return. At that moment she called out, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. There were two imams in the house. She told them that I have prepared food for you. They tell her, Oh Fidda, when have you seen us eat food without our mother Fatima? They both ran to the body of her, Hassan on one side and Hussein on the other. The news eventually reached Imam Ali alayhi salam, and how powerful and a brave man he was. He had defeated Marhab and Antar and Amr ibn Abdawud. But when he heard the news, he fainted. This brave man fainted. You know what happens to you when you hear the news of somebody close to you passing away? You start remembering the beginning of your story with your wife. You start remembering she was your backbone. You start remembering how she treated your wounds.